Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the Tartan Stand podcast. Today, we'll be talking about the European aftermath and the Hearts game against Strumgrats over in Austria on Tuesday night. As you can tell, here I'm with Graham, aka Hearts and Fuses. We'll be here to talk about Hearts. So let's just dive right into it. The team selection, a few surprises. Brovnik at right back, Jimmy McCarthy centre back, obviously Kabori up front. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think at the start, I did my team selection a couple of days before, and probably five of those players I didn't have in it. I didn't have McCart, I didn't have Kabori, I didn't have McEntee, Spittle in it either. But I think hindsight's great because at the start, like at the first half, I don't think anyone complained too much. I thought there was some. I think probably why he's done it, he's looked at last season and how we did last season. I thought, do you know what? I don't want to change things too much. So he's kept it very much similar to last season, which I do get. And to be fair, in that first half, it was understandable because actually Hearts in that first half were pretty good. So I don't think anyone had too many issues with that.
Obviously, McEntee being the middle was usually played at right back last season. Do you think that was again, hindsight mistake that he never put out McEntee that right-hand side?
No, because I don't like McEntee there. I don't like square pegs and round holes. I want to see players in their normal position, and McEntee is a midfielder. He did well last season, don't get me wrong. He's quite physical. He's not the quickest, but he's strong. And I thought he did well last season, but he's a midfielder. I just don't think it really worked on Tuesday because of who he was playing with. Spittle and McEntee just have no legs in that midfield. I don't really blame McEntee for that. It's not really his fault. But he's a midfielder. I want to see a right back playing at right back in a proper position.
Obviously, with Spittle being involved, like coming up to the last end of the season, he was phenomenal. Like no one would actually know that Blair Spittle was back to his form like he was at the Motherwell days. Were you kind of surprised that the new signing was it renewed? Wasn't actually starting?
Very. He was in my lineup at the start. I thought I haven't seen a lot of preseason. I was at the Vallecano game and he looked really good. I've seen videos of him as well. He's one of these guys that likes to take the ball from the back line. He likes to try and play the ball forward. He likes to dictate the play. He's a playmaker type. Very technical, very good on the ball. He switches a player quality. I know it was a friendly, but the game against Vallecano, the first goal comes from him with that switch of play. So I think most Hearts fans were very surprised to not see him in that lineup. I didn't come on to a 4-0 down. I don't think we will see Renault out of a Hearts lineup again because I think for me, technically, he's probably one of our best players. I know it's early days, but I think he's one of our best players and he has to start.
Obviously, we're going to go into the first half. It's going to be like a massive what-if game for Hearts because of that first half. I know a lot of fans might laugh at that, the opposition fans, because, Hearts did obviously going to lose 4-0. You did concede early doors, long throw. You could possibly say it was a good long throw, but back post, Jamie McCart misjudges the header. Like, how's he done that? Like, how has Jamie McCart done that?
Honestly, that's amateur. You wouldn't expect that from an amateur team to lose a long throw like that. It's ridiculous. I mean, apparently Strumgrats are pretty good on like set pieces and stuff, as that showed. But the lack of communication, McCart gets caught under the ball. It's so poor. And we'd actually started all right. The first 2 minutes we were actually on the front foot. We were looking pretty good on the ball. We were creating, maybe not chances, but we were looking dangerous. And to lose a goal like that in a European tie is embarrassing. And it kind of sums McCart's game up because I thought he lost that goal. And you're hoping he's going to get better. But over the course of the game, it actually got progressively worse. And how he lasted 90 minutes, I still do not know because he was awful all game.
Yeah, we will go into substitutions late on the game because, I kind of spoke about it on TikTok as well. And I thought his substitutions were very more unquestionable, But talking about the Hearts' chances, they had a good few, the Kabori one. I don't know if he would have scored that, it would have been called off like handball. I don't know that the handball rule in European football is very much as confusing. You then had the Braga chance, which was a good save, but the massive one is Kizaridis. I want to have your thoughts on Kizaridis first before we go into the actual shot. He was one of the names in the team sheet he couldn't replace, and Derek McKennis kind of took him out of it. Do you think if an offer came in for Hearts, like say 2.5, 3.5 million mark, would you take it?
I snap the hand off for it. I love Kizzy like most Hearts fans do, but I think he's been miles off it for a while. He started off really well, had a real dip in the middle. Actually, it coincided with Shanklin getting injured because I think Shanklin brought the best out in guys like him and Braga. But he kind of got better towards the end of the season. And then on Tuesday, I thought he looked miles off it. Whether it's a fitness thing, I don't know. but there's been a lot of talk about potentially a lot of culls in Greece looking at him. I think if we get a decent offer for him, like you've said there, I think you take it. You've got McPake, you've got Calvin Miller who came in, you've got Guendouzi who can play on the left, you've got Bassi who can play on the left, you've got Kurjota can swap, you've got plenty of players there that can play in that position. I think right now, if a club comes in for him, I'll probably take the money because I just think he looks miles off it. I thought on Tuesday he was so poor in that first half.
Yeah, obviously, I heard with the Real Vallecano game, Josh McPake actually put on a show. I don't think he was actually called up to the European squad. I don't know if it's like a quota thing. Again, his squad was a wee bit if in doubt. Obviously, Mato, whatever his name was, he was called upon and he got took up by Bissy, who actually scored the brace against Real Vallecano. Were you surprised to not see him start? Like, I know maybe fitness-wise isn't up to speed, but the starting a game is much more important, especially in a massive European qualifier.
Yeah, I think the fitness thing is a big thing. I think that's probably why I didn't start, along with Stuart Finlay as well, who apparently was an injury. But if he was fit enough for the bench, he's fit enough to start. I would have started Bassi. He just gives us something a bit different. He gives us a physical presence. He obviously scored the 2 goals against Vallecano. Good finishes as well. He looks a real handful. I really want to like Kabori. And I think he does a lot of good things. He does stretch the game. He's got a bit of pace about him. But he's not a natural finisher. You can see that with the chance that he missed in that first half. He should be finishing that. And I think for me, you talked about it there, the Kizzy chance. That ball falls to him on the penalty spot. And I do not understand why he takes it with the outside of the right foot. He's a left-footed player. He can take that on his left and bury it. It was a really daft finish. And I think Bassi, when he came on second half, yes, the game's done. We're 4-0 down. But he did offer something. He offered a real threat going forward. And I would be amazed if he doesn't start the second leg. As much as the tie's done, I think we'll see a lot of changes next week because there has to be something different. I generally don't think the starting 11 on Tuesday will be seen again this season. Some players might play, but it won't be that again because it didn't work in the second half.
Yeah, like you said, like obviously beforehand, like hindsight is a wonderful thing. You know, I know he's lost 4-0, but you could see a style of play, and like that is like a main thing if you are a Hearts supporter. Like on another day, you're definitely leading at least 2-1, 3-1. Potentially, I think Strumgrats actually had the post in the first half as well, which was a wee bit climatic defending. I think that was probably Harry Milne's worst game as a Hearts player at left back. Yeah, so we will go into the second half because this is where the most talking points come through. Again, an early goal, you lose, corner, back post, Kabori. I don't know if he just jumps too early. I don't know if this is worse than the Jamie McCart one. Maybe Jamie McCart gets a wee bit more of a stretch at him because, you know, he is a centre back. He should be doing better. But Kabori, I don't know what he's doing. And obviously, it's a cheap goal to lose again in a massive European qualifier.
There's a lot of faults here. And for me, the fault starts with the initial move in that second half because there's a ball. I don't know what it is. It's a throw in his corner, whatever. I can't remember what it is. But McCart, if Swallow shouts, there's nobody in McCart. McCart can just leave that and Swallow gets it. There's clearly no communication there. And then we concede a couple of corners and lose the second goal from, I think it's the second corner from that phase of play. But that for me is down to lack of communication at the back from Swallow and from McCart. Again, I've heard a lot of folks saying Swallow looks like he's already in mines because he leaves after that second leg. Well, that's true. I don't know. Only he knows that. But yeah, I mean, Kabori on the line's got to do better there. I mean, you have to. How that ball goes over him, I do not know. It's so poor. Like defensively, you said that a minute ago. The frustration for me in that game is the fact that we actually looked decent going forward. We had patterns of play. We had a philosophy. We looked pretty good going forward. But defensively, I don't think I've seen Hearts as bad as that. Like last season, one of the things that we did well last season was defend really well from set pieces. And we've lost 4 ridiculous goals I wouldn't say amateur level. It was crazy. But that second goal completely kills it. And that's where my issue, I think, is I'm not going to go too critical on the manager because he's just in the door. But for me, I would have changed that after that second goal. I would have brought Finlay on and taken off McCart. You're right. That was Milne's worst game for me in a Hearts shirt. I think we made the changes far too late. The changes didn't come until the 4th goal and they were attacking changes. I said that in my own TikTok live. How that whole backline stayed on that whole game, I do not know. Because they were all, apart from Fagan Walcott, I'll give him a bit of praise because I think he actually was all right. But the rest of them were terrible.
Yeah, I think he was probably the best defender in the first half and kind of went down to the defenders level in the second half. But I guess that's not really helpful when you've got three players that's just really playing one of the worst games ever in a Hearts jersey. I want to talk about the substitutions because you kind of spoke about it, about just bringing on Stuart Finlay. He changed the attacking players first, and I can understand those players coming off, but if he made those types of defensive players, bringing on the likes of Stuart Finlay, we don't really know if he was injured or not. But again, like you said, if he's fit enough to be in the bench, he's fit enough to start. You lose 2-0, you're still in a tie. I felt like his thinking was maybe just get a goal and it makes it even better. But obviously, the likes of Kizari just coming off, etc. I do like the player as Guendouzi. I think he brings something different, but it feels like he tried to go for that goal and it really hurt him because you've seen on the break Strumgrats, it's most of the time it was 4 against 2, 5 against 3. It was absolutely mentally defending. Does that worry you going into the season? It's the substitutions from the manager, albeit it's only one competitive game.
It doesn't worry me, but I do think there is a level of criticism he has to take there because I think at 2-0 down, you have to make the changes. I love a manager who's got a philosophy and a style of play and that he doesn't want to change it. You look at what Bertholacki did at Motherwell. Fantastic. But you can't be too stubborn to think, do you know what? I'm going to keep doing this because you will end up getting punished. You have to make changes when it's right. And I think at 2-0 down, I think you're absolutely right. Rather than go for it, and yes, it's great to have a goal, but rather than go for it, just be a bit more defensive, a bit more. I heard the word naive, and I think people are right about that. Just go a bit more defensive. Bring on Finlay, bring on Renault, take off a Spittle or McEntee. Just get a bit of possession and try and kill the game a little bit. And we didn't do that. I thought the subs were far too late, and they were all attacking changes. Yes, it's great to try and get a goal back, maybe lose the game 4-1, but if you lose 2-0 or 3-1, you give yourself a chance. I just thought there was a bit of naivety. And I think over the course of the last few weeks, I think Vranken will be seeing players that he can trust, players that he can't trust. And I think right now, the worry for me, I suppose, is the fact that we've got 4 vice-captains now. Blair Spittle, Jamie McCart, Stephen Kingsley, and Harry Milne. The worry for me is that if he thinks McCart is a better player than Stuart Finlay, that's a concern. Because McCart's nowhere near good enough. And I think that showed on Tuesday. He was dreadful. Bocch-Gremic I thought was really poor. You can now see why McInnes didn't play him last season. Altena has to start for me. But yeah, I think there was a bit of naivety. Those changes should have got made a lot earlier and it should have been defensive. And just try and get a 2-0 defeat, go back to Tynecastle where the game's still in the balance. 4-0, you're out of it. Like I did a TikTok live earlier and a few folks said, do you think the tie is over? We ain't scoring 4 goals against this team. And even if we did, my concern is we'd end up losing 6. The tie's done. We ain't getting back from this. I would love nothing more than for us to get this tie back and be a miracle, but it's not happening. I'm not daft enough to think
that. I heard Rory Hamilton say a question, and it might be a pointless question. He said, if Derek McInnes was the manager of Hearts, this result does not happen. Do you agree with that?
Again, hindsight. Maybe it doesn't. But again, the thing is, we created chances in that game. That's where the frustration is. As much as we put defensively, we created chances. Like even at 4-0 down, we've got a couple of chances from set pieces from McCart. Should do better. We did create chances. I can see a philosophy. I can see a style of football. That as much as McInnes did a great job last season, we were very much a kind of, I don't want to say a long ball team, but it was very much try and get the ball to Shanklin, try and get the ball to Bragg and see what can happen. I can see what we're trying to do under Vranken. And it's very early days. He's been in the job for 3 weeks. He'll learn a lot. But I do think we have to be far better defensively than that. We brought a new set piece coach in. He should be raging at that on Tuesday because that was nowhere near good enough. I mean, that was just... I keep going back to this, that first goal. How do you lose a goal from a long throw-in? That shouldn't happen at this level. It's ridiculous.
We're going to the third goal because I watched it again in Twitter, and it's actually funny. Like for all the negatives we've done, McCart does do like a good block, and then obviously Fagan Walcott headers it, but then Harry Milne dives in. McCart's already jumped to his knees before Harry Milnes dived in. So the player takes a step, McCart jumps back up and then dives to his knees again. And then obviously the ball hits off his knees and goes in the back of it. The way he's jumping is like you've scored a goal, like you're celebrating. I don't know. He's done that twice. I don't know. He's not even making himself bigger. He's making himself smaller. I don't want to go too hard on the lad, because he is at fault for most things. And obviously that is the manager's fault for keeping him on for the full 90 minutes. But that defending, like if you're seeing that in the touchline, like that, you said amateurish. I don't even think you do that in school level. Like it was that bad, the third goal.
I mean, our game was shown on Premier Sports. It could have been shown on Comedy Central because that's what it was. It was a comedy. The defending was like Keystone Cops. It was embarrassing. The goals we lost. I mean, like I said, at halftime I was quite positive. I did a video at halftime on my own TikTok page saying, do you know what? Okay, we're a goal down, but we're creating chances. We look pretty decent. When we get chances second half, I did not expect to be sitting there after full time with a 4-0 defeat. I mean, that 9-minute spell was unbelievable. Nobody saw that coming. And yeah, what McCart is doing and what Milner doing, I do not understand. Honestly, there's things you can look at Vranken and say, should have done this and should have done that, should have taken players off on that, but you can't legislate for your experienced defenders doing that. I mean, Strumgrats must have been thinking, what is this for up against? Seriously, this is embarrassing. We're just laughing at this now. It was ridiculous, seriously. I don't think I'd be angry after one game, but I was raging at that. It was just ridiculous.
Obviously, did speak about getting put to tie. I'm not going to ask a stupid question. I think Hearts will come back because I think everyone knows the answer to that. And if it does happen, I will put my hands up on that. Are you fearful of Hearts' European journey altogether? You've obviously potentially, most likely, got Benfica next, who's probably a harder team than Strumgrats. And then I've seen obviously Hearts is unseeded. You can have the potential likes of Ajax, Atalanta, Monaco, Brighton. I don't know how that works with Tony Bloom interference. The Hearts' draw is basically all Champions League teams.
I'm getting PTSD just thinking about it. Yeah, it's probably not going to happen, to be honest. I mean, I would love to get, I think Europa League's done. We ain't beating Benfica. They're playing St. Gallen, I think, now, actually. We ain't getting past that. Benfica will hammer them and probably hammer us. I think our best bet, I said it weeks ago, I think our best bet is probably Conference League. But like you just said there, the teams that we could play is ridiculous. If we can get any kind of group stage football beyond Christmas, it would be incredible. But the flip side of that is, whenever we've played group stage football in Europe, our league form has suffered. So I'm kind of weighing it up and thinking, is it actually better to go out Europe than it is to stay in it? I know that sounds daft. The money you get from that, the prestige you get from that. But Vranken's first season, a lot of new players, maybe going out of Europe maybe isn't the worst thing that could happen. Like I said, I'd love to play European football, but right now, I'm looking at this and thinking, we're probably not good enough for European football just now. And maybe getting knocked out might not be a bad thing under Vranken's first season. He gets a season with these new players to bed his philosophy, hopefully get European football next season and maybe progress in that. I think this has come too early for me in European football. And I think the other thing I would say as well, and any Hearts fan watching this will probably say the same thing, we've not played enough games in pre-season this season. And Vranken said that he wanted more games. It's been a very rushed pre-season. We played St. Mirren behind closed doors in Spain. We played Arbroath. We played Vallecano, and we played somebody else. We're playing Wraith tomorrow. We've not played enough games. We weren't ready for this. And I think that showed on Tuesday.
I understand your thinking about maybe, obviously, Hearts' league form's kind of tumbled down when you've had the Conference League, but that's obviously before Tony Bloom's come in. Now with Tony Bloom coming in, Hearts want to be a club. Don't get me wrong, it does say a 10-year project, but obviously last season has probably sped things up a notch by at least 5-6 years, in my opinion. For Hearts to progress, do you not think there needs to be a time like right now that we need to do both? Because like you said last season, I think I seen your TikTok saying he did have a good season in the league, but the cup seasons were out early doors, and that's obviously something you don't want. Do you think that Hearts need European football, especially if they're not going to keep Braga, but bring in those players still to compete against Celtic and Rangers? Because if you don't get European football this season, it might just be a third place finish, but you're not guaranteed European football now with the coefficient.
Yeah, I know, and I keep trying to weigh it up, but it's just, my worry is I just don't think we're prepared enough this season. And that's not Vranken's fault. He only came in 3 weeks ago. It's not his fault. I just don't think we're prepared enough. And I think it might take time for some of these players to, like the new guys, we've signed, 8 players or 9 to come with the guy from Forest Green, Lauren Mendy, to come in. He obviously won't be ready for European football yet, but there's a lot of new players in that team that haven't played European football before. And that's a big, big thing as well. Like I say, I love to play European football. Getting to European football after Christmas would be incredible. And there's nothing like European football at Tynecastle. I took my laddie to a few games a couple of seasons ago, and the nights are so special. It's great to be in. But to the detriment of league football, I'm not sure right now we're ready for it. I do think over time we will be. There's no doubt about that. And Tony Bloom, with this 10-year plan, we will absolutely be ready for European football. But right now, based on what I saw on Tuesday, I'm just not sure we're ready for it yet. I think if we can get Conference League group stage football, that would be incredible. But right now, the quality teams that we're going up against, I think it's just too much for us right now. I hope I'm wrong, but I just think it's too much.
Obviously, you can get a favourable draw in the Conference League. I've only listed the clubs that have probably name appealing, but with Tony Bloom, he does get a lot of praise, and I'm one for all the praise. He probably deserves a lot more. Do you not feel like bringing in Frank and he's kind of not shafted him, but it's a wee bit, you brought in too much, you've hardly kept the core together. Don't get me wrong, it's hard to keep Shanklin and Devlin when Rangers come calling, but it's like maybe try and keep the core a wee bit. It feels like you've seen 9 players coming in, but still only in July. That could be double figures by the time end of August. Do you feel like it's a wee bit unfair on the manager?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think losing the spine of the team is difficult. Obviously, Swallows going, Halkett's out injured. We've lost our engine room in field with obviously Benny away, Devlin away. We've lost our main striker. It is a blow. But this is why Jamestown's here. It's to hopefully bring in players who can do a good job. I mean, Cledo Braga was signed for £430,000. We could sell him for £8 to £10 million. That's what it's there for. And I think the players we brought in, I do think they'll do a good job over the course of the season. But it is so early in the season. And I do think that once he gets his main starting 11, because I don't think it's anywhere near that now. Like right now, I don't even think I could pick our strongest 11. Somebody asked me live earlier and I tried to pick one, but it's like that could change. I do think over the next few weeks we will see a far better Hearts. We'll see a bit more. We'll see really good football. I've already said I think we'll be entertaining this season, but I'm more likely to win games 5-4 than anything else because we're going to lose goals. But having that spine is a big blow. For me, the biggest blow is Craig Halkett. He's our best centre-half by an absolute country mile. McCart's not up to the level. I like Stuart Finlay. I think Fagan Walcott will do well. Kamsa Kamara's going to do well. But these next few weeks are going to be massive. And how we start the league season against Aberdeen next week will be huge. If we can get 3 points out of that, then I think we're set for a hopefully decent season against a team that we don't beat at Pittodrie, which is mental, by the way. Our record there is horrendous.
I think it's mental for every away team. I think Aberdeen's, well, don't get me wrong, Aberdeen's away record is usually horrid. I had an Aberdeen fan on yesterday and he doesn't really go to games anymore. But yeah, to recap this off beforehand, obviously Hearts did bring in Royce, the goalkeeper. Obviously Swallow is going to Mains again, hindsight. Would you rather just let Swallow go to Mains and just bring in Royce as that number one and see what he's got rather than kind of leaving him out just to get Swallow to go through? Does it not send like a message that, you know, you trust him more than the new signing as of yet?
Yeah, probably. I mean, again, Roth has come in, he's 6'6", he's a massive presence. I think it was 14 clean sheets last season. But Swallow has done a good job at Hearts. There's no doubt about that. He maybe made a couple of mistakes last season, the Kilmarnock game in particular that we drew at Tynecastle. But he has been a good goalkeeper. But I think once that's been announced that he's gone, you probably should just let him go. I know he doesn't leave till the 1st of August. But I think you've got other goalkeepers there. You've got Ross Fulton. Okay, maybe not the best goalkeeper, but at least we know he's there. This guy's leaving. So I think maybe in Swallow's head, he's probably left the building already, which isn't great. But I probably would like to see Roos come in. Now, he wasn't added to the Champions League squad. Maybe we'll probably regret that now. But again, I think I look at Tuesday and think the goals we lost, okay, maybe the second goal, I did maybe blame him for that. I think he should do better in terms of communication. The other 3 goals I don't really think I can blame him for. It wasn't really his fault. It's defence in front of him. But I do think on Tuesday, we will make a lot of changes. Would I play Swallow? Maybe I wouldn't, because it's his last game. Is there a point in playing him when we're 4-0 down? Probably not.
Well, to recap us off, I will ask for your score prediction. I want to say ask a score prediction, but for the team that you would pick, right? The starting 11 you would pick, what would you think that score prediction would be?
Do you know what? I did a video on this earlier. I've just talked about Swallow there. I'm probably going to completely backtrack here. Would I pick him? Do you know what? No, I wouldn't. I'm going to pick Ryan Fulton in goal. 4-2-3-1, Fulton in goal. Left back, I'm playing Kingsley because Milne was really poor. Right back, I'll tenor. Centre back pairing, Walcott and Finlay. Midfield 2, I'm picking Renault and Magnuson, which is what it should have been in the first place. On the left, I'm picking Calvin Miller. On the right, I'm picking Jota. And then behind the lone striker of Claudio Braga, I'm playing Guendouzi. We have to make changes. I mean, the tie's done, but I'm going to try and go for a positive because I think we have to take some positives to go to Pittodrie on the Saturday. I'm going to say 2-0 Hearts and go out 4-2. We need some kind of positivity going to Aberdeen. We have to try and get something.
I know I said I was going to recap that there, but I think because it's a a different scenario. See if you lose. They obviously lost 4-0 there on the Tuesday night. You lose by 2-3 clear goals in the Wednesday night, I think it is, or the Tuesday, and you lose at Pittodrie, albeit it's a terrible record. I know you said I asked you this in the first video. Would the fans' patience be running short? But would there be questions asked?
To be honest, mate, I've already seen questions asked. I went on Twitter after the game on Tuesday. I wish I hadn't bothered. Already saw folks saying this guy's out of his depth and stuff, which is ridiculous. It's one game. We will get better. I would still give him plenty of time. You know, I think it's a difficult window because he's come in and a lot of these players that were signed were in before he came in. He needs far more time. I ain't going to judge this guy until probably the first round or two of Premier League fixtures. After that, then we'll see how he does. But I do think it will take time. I did see, even though we lost 4-0, I did see positive signs in that first half. We will create chances. We just have to sort the defence out. And like I said earlier, I don't think we'll see that defence that started on Tuesday playing again because that just wasn't good enough. But I do think we will get better and I think he will get time. And most logical and reasonable Hearts fans will give him that time. There will be a lot of fans that will say, no, get rid of him. But I'm not going to do that. It's ridiculous to think that after one game.
Yeah, well, we will end that here. This is part 1. Part 2 will be with the Motherwell and Hibs fan. At least you're not the only Edinburgh team that lost. Obviously, lost today against a Kosovo team, Malashiva. But yeah, thank you, Graham, for coming on. Hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you all for part 2. Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome part 2 of the European Aftermath. As you can see here, I've got Kyle that will be representing Motherwell, Dan will be representing Hibs, and it's going to be a fun one, especially I was going to say if you're a Hearts fan, but you've obviously lost on Tuesday as well. But yeah, Darren, I want to start with you because first of all, you did get the score prediction right, the first ever on this channel. Just not to the team you wanted it to go to.
No.
You predicted Hibs 2-0. What's your thoughts in the game?
Terrible from start to finish. I mean, I did predict that it could be one of these embarrassing nights for one of the Scottish clubs, and unfortunately, it was Hibs' turn this year, as it was a few years ago. Just so disappointed. We were so. Do you know what? It was just so passive, so slow, so predictable. I thought the lineup was. I mean, we've made all these signings that we discussed on the last show. We had one of them on the park. Like, we brought back Grant Hanley to play in the back four. Well, it was more a back five. And he never played any pre-season games. Obviously, he was away at the World Cup, but obviously we were back pretty soon for that. Never played in any pre-season games. We've got Kerr sitting on the bench. You're just thinking, what? It just looked very much like the same way we ended last season. It was just so flat. So I think there was other things going on that we discussed where, like, obviously a lot of Hibs fans were focusing on what was happening at Hearts. That's what our worry kind of focused on. So maybe the focus wasn't on how bad Hibs were actually playing. But last night just seemed more of the same. I think Davy Gray has to take full responsibility for last night. I mean, granted, the players on the park should have been more than good enough to beat that team. Let's be absolutely fair. But how he set up, we couldn't put two passes together. It was horrendous, really, really bad. And just losing that goal in the 90th minute makes the second leg so much more harder.
You used the word predictable. Does that kind of frustrate you? Now, I don't want to disrespect them because obviously they did win 2-0, but it was like they were only founded like 10 years ago, the first win in Europe, and you still went in with that same formation, 5 at the back or 3-4-3, whatever you want to call it. And it's just like, you also mentioned the word stability in the preview, but sometimes stability means nothing's bad's going to happen, but nothing's going to move forward. And that feels like that's the case with Hibs and David Gray. And you've seen the reaction at the end of the game. Obviously, if that's justified or not, it's everyone's opinion on it. The fans are frustrated. We aren't even into the first game of the season. It feels like it's going to be same old for Hibs.
It's weird because like David Gray's been in this position before and he fought through it. Like no, it wasn't the last season, was it? It was the season before where the Hibs and Hearts were obviously at the bottom of the league going into December. We hadn't won then. That Aberdeen game that kind of turned everything around and he went on this huge run. I wouldn't put it past David Gray to be able to fight his way out at like, but there's that, do you know what? There's a gut feeling that he's a club legend and the longer it goes on, you didn't want to be shouting at David Gray. Like the fans there last night didn't want to be shouting abuse at David Gray. It's the last person that you want to be given a hard time. But I think that's worrying. We're going into like the start of the season next week, and that's the performance that we're getting against pretty much the standard of a League One team up here. I mean, credit to them. They found us out quite early. They attacked us. They were non-stop attacking. They put us under loads of pressure, and that's probably what never gave our like midfield, like your Mulligan and Chaiwa, just never even got a chance in the game. They're the players that you would want to get a grip of the game. They just never gave us a chance whatsoever to do that. But we just never really had a plan B, and that's what's worrying. And it's worrying that if they could work out the formation we're going to play and how we're going to play against them, every team in the Premier League now knows what David Gray is going to do. I spoke about it in the last show as well that he's even predictable with substitutions. 60, 65 minute, he'll make 3 subs every single game. So I think he's maybe reaching his limit potentially. I don't want. There's nothing more than I want as David Gray to do well at Hibs, but there's heavy doubts setting in there.
Well, we've all got to you, Kyle, about managers, and that was obviously Alfred Johansson did get his first win as a competitive manager. Most people probably say he should have been the Faroe team, but I did like the way Muller did play. Don't get me wrong. The style of play wasn't as in your face as Jens, but you could see it was still more dominating, still progressive. I had one player I did like at the back, and that was Moorman. I thought he was outstanding. You know, obviously we were going to that beauty of a strike with a left foot, which Muller did definitely need. How do you feel about the new style of play from the new Muller manager?
I feel like there's not much changed because even like from watching it, like there is like similar like stints of play, but there is some things that Alfred's doing that Jens isn't. For example, he's encouraging more shots, hence the 2 wonder strikes that gave us the 2-0 victory. But there's not really much to like pinpoint that he's doing differently because obviously we've only played 1 professional game, so you can't really. Well, I can't really judge on like much differences until like we actually like start to get a good like few run of games and see what he's actually all about.
You did mention about the shots. There's one thing that I noticed as well in the first like 10 minutes of the game, and there's a lot more crosses going into the box, just whipping it in and trying to threat. Obviously, some of them can't make anything, but we well got on to the shots, and that was obviously Moorman's cracking strike. As soon as you had it, you're thinking, yeah, that's going in. How did you feel about that shot, obviously being at that game?
Oh, like, I don't want to cover myself in glory, but I did say it before the game, like to my pals. I was saying because I watched. There was one specific goal we scored with the team we bought him for, and it was almost identical to the one he scored last night. And I said to them, I was like, he's going to do that for Murrow. Don't know when. Obviously I didn't know it was going to be last night, but honestly, see when it went in, like I've actually never seen Firth Park erupt more in my life.
Obviously, you did lose Just and Watt. Mastroianni was out, but I think he was out injured.
Mhm.
But it looks like the new signings that Mull have actually brought in, maybe Willie Vogt was a wee bit not up to scratch. I don't know if maybe that's just like lack of fitness, etc. But it looks like the Mull board is just getting these Coops players and it's just coming into the league and coming into the team like with ease. And it feels like Mull is building something that I know a lot of people talk about Hearts and the Tony Bloom. I'm not going to say they have that amount of money, but it feels like Mull can be like these types of clubs, buy a player like $100,000 from Elijah Just and then sell him on for $6 million plus. It feels like the future is bright for Mull. How do you feel for the first time and probably in your life, because you had the Stuart McCalls, the Mark McGee's? I don't want to give you PTSD about that. But how does it feel for like finally that Motherwell you can actually see a progressive future?
Oh, I'm honestly, I'm so delighted. I said it in the first podcast I was in since Kurt McMillan came in charge as chairman. Like you can see the significant difference he's made. Like there's such like a positive vibe around the club in the last few years, and I couldn't be more happier to go and watch them every week because it's generally just a breath of fresh air going from what we were a few years ago. I'm not going to name names, but like your Kettlewells, your Graham Alexanders playing defensive football to this going ballsy, getting these foreign managers playing the style that they want to play, which is much more entertaining, more high risk, high press, attacking football. Like you can see, like it's much better for our team because it's showed since getting Europe last season, winning in Europe last night, and God knows what we're going to do this season.
Now, obviously, we will go into the draw like a wee bit. Obviously, you could draw Helsinki. I'm just going to think that's a team you are going to get. Obviously, if you do go past the second leg, which I still think it is a wee bit difficult because they did have their moments, but they just never took them in the final third.
Mhm.
If you do get Helsinki, obviously that was kind of like a big team, like well, not like massive team, but they were a good team like 10 years ago. I remember Celtic playing them and they did some damage to us. Do you feel like that's a team that can shape up Mull's season if you go past it?
I would agree, yes, because frankly, going into this tie, I don't think much people would have heard of Havner, to be quite frank. And going, if we do progress and we play Helsinki, they've got a bit more of a knowledge behind them. And they're a bigger European side. So if we do end up progressing past that says, I feel it'll be a really good big statement going into this season to show what we can do, what we will do.
Darren, I want to go back to you because you said David Gray kind of got out that situation 2 years ago. But there was one difference that he's made, and that was change. He did change the formation, and it worked out for him. It doesn't look like he's going to change the formation this time around. You've seen the pre-season. I think it was Shamrock Rovers that he's lost to. I've got an Irish guy who's at my gym, and he said that was mostly Shamrock Rovers as youngsters. So I'm not as a friendly. I'm not going to put too much like emphasis on it. But if David Gray, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think David Gray will change it with the stuff you've seen for the past year and a half?
I don't think he'll change it dramatically. I think we've certainly with the signings that's came in, does that give you evidence that he's going to look to change it? Probably not. He's looking to strengthen the positions of the style of play that he has now. Obviously, a couple of stuff that Kyle mentioned there, like the managers that they had last season, the manager they've now got in, who's obviously it's very early days, looking good. That's more a frustration for the Hibs fans that we're sitting with David Gray now. Probably David Gray would have been sacked if his name was the David Gray, right? He would have been sacked well before now. That is a guarantee. Hibs fans wouldn't have given them the time that they've already given them. The board probably would have pulled the trigger earlier. I think at the time when he was given the job, it was probably a safe, cheaper option because they knew the fans would give him more time. Secondly, as well, from Motherwell's point of view, they've kind of knocked out every single excuse that everybody was building up to coming into these early European qualifiers. Everybody was going on about, are they too early? Is it because it's the first competitive game? We watched Hearts obviously lose heavily. Very likely, obviously, to lose that heavily. Then you had Hibs obviously do that over in Kosovo. Then Motherwell have kind of just come out and went, well, actually, that's nothing to do with it. So I think Motherwell are becoming the benchmark for all these other clubs to look at it and go, you hate to take risks. You have to change things earlier. You have to... These foreign managers coming in, none of us had probably heard of before they come in. Is that the way forward? Probably. I mean, and in no disrespect for Motherwell, but we should have a bigger budget as well. So if Motherwell can find someone who's at that, especially last season's quality, shouldn't we have a bigger budget and a better? I mean, Malcolm Mackay obviously is in the door to look at players, and he should have a network for managers as well, and we should have then a bit. I mean, if both the managers were available at the same time and both Hibs and Motherwell went in for him, I'd like to believe that Hibs could have offered them a bigger wage. Massive credit to Motherwell for taking yet another risk. Massive credit to Motherwell for actually knocking all the excuses. Obviously, we're only one leg in, I get that, but you've just killed all the excuses that folk can make that they should be in the League Cup or we should have summer football or we should be starting earlier or all the kind of excuses, because I don't think any of them stand.
To be fair, I actually think that team Mull played having their Butterflies actually 16 games into their season, so obviously they're still got a lot more fitness to it. I want to speak about Malcolm Mackay because obviously previously, like when I was a youngster, he was always a manager. He was never like the head coach, etc. It's like a technical director of football. Is he the right man for that role? Because it doesn't feel like he's ever actually done that prior to Hibs.
You know what? He's actually not done a bad job so far. I mean, look at the signings in, signings out. Like we can't say. I mean, we're really obviously in a negative spot now, but like we touched upon in the last episode, we just qualified for Europe twice, 2 years running for the first time in 50 years. I mean, we've never done that 2 seasons running for 50 years. So there must be changes. We had a rare season that Motherwell and Hearts done outstanding last year. We were only, I think we were on roughly about the same amount of points as what we were the previous year when we finished clear in third. So I don't think he's done a bad job. I think the job he's doing, that he's been employed to do, he's got a good network. There is still that underlying issue when I think it's been kind of brushed under the carpet, and that's credit to him doing a good job of this whole sexist kind of all the comments he made. Hibs fans were extremely unhappy when he first came into the club. There was huge things made. Hibs board kind of ignored it all. He's then went under the radar for a couple of years, and then it's funny how your morals can kind of drop as soon as your team starts actually doing no too bad. I mean, we finished third, obviously the first season he was with us, or morals kind of get brushed under the carpet. They'll probably arise again as soon as your team does bad. It'll be like, we've got him in charge, and we've got David Gray doing this, and we've got... It's fickle football fans, but I think he's done a good job, and the players that we signed and then the players that's moved on, I think we've sold players to the value of something like 20 odd million or something, and only spent 8 million in that time period, so it's not too bad, to be honest.
Obviously it could be a massive what if, just like the Hearts game. Obviously Hearts, you did see some style play in the first half, but Hibs did have 2 massive chances in my opinion, and that was low. I think he's got to bury them both. Maybe the first chance is slightly a wee bit harder because he's going a wee bit away from goal. The second leg, at least you have a chance. Most people still expect Hibs to go through. Still, I think. But there needs to be a lot more changes, like you said at the start. Made 6 signings, only 1 started. But I want to talk about an actual player here, and that is Jack Iredale. Do you think his time's up?
He was horrendous yesterday, wasn't he? Really, really bad. and it could potentially be where the the signings that's coming in, like. But the trouble that we've then got is, like, if you drop Iredale, you're still going to be playing with Hanley, and do I think Hanley's the right man now? He's getting on. Even last season, you'll maybe mind, Kyle, like the penalty he gave away at Motherwell early on last season was horrendous. He got sent off twice last season. He's a liability that we can't keep on carrying. We just can't. Like, so could Iredale's a player. He's got something in him. He's not a terrible player. I've seen him play really good players. Is he more nervous because he's playing with Hanley at the back? Could that be a big factor in it? I don't know. I genuinely didn't think he's a bad player. He had a terrible night yesterday. But I think I would probably keep Iredale, if I'm honest. Unless you could clearly evidence somebody else coming in that's much stronger. And we've already strengthened in defence, so I don't think there's anybody else we're going to bring in.
To be fair, isn't the worst? I think Jordan Obita had a shocking game as well, and probably most of the Hibs game, the Hibs team. Sorry, I want to go back to you, Kyle, about this second leg. Obviously, I said they never really had much moments like Motherwell, but are you still a wee bit nervous for this second leg in the Faroe Islands? Do you think they can cause a wee bit of damage to this Motherwell team?
It could go either way. Like, I think it honestly just depends on who gets the first goal, if there is a goal in the second leg. Because the thing that I found quite good about last night, because we didn't push for a third. When we were at 2-0, we didn't push for a third. Because if we try push for that third and then get caught in transition and then we concede one, that changes the full tie and exceed. So I'm satisfied with the lead that we're going into the second leg, but it could go anywhere. Like, knowing Motherwell, it could generally go anywhere.
Kind of actually took my next question out of my mouth, because I was going to say, with the actual, he never went for the third. It felt like it was something that Franken should have done with Hearts, like good more management, like obviously for the Hearts situation is take the 2-0 loss rather than get a goal. He was like satisfied for the 2-0 in case you do go for a third and get caught out the back, because I feel like those moments that they did have, the small ones, it was a wee bit caught out at the back when they were trying to go for that second goal. So yeah, I do really like that about Alfred Johansson. I think he's got a good bit about him in the style of play and his substitutions that I do like as well. Obviously, it's a big, massive what if. I'm going pure into it, but it feels like Motherwell might be the only team that's going to keep the Scotland coefficient up out the two other boys that are playing right now. If you do get to the group stages, again, a massive, massive if, do you think the squad right now, or maybe let's say you bring in a few players to the positions that you think the Mull need to strengthen, do you think they could hamper Mull's season in the league massively?
In terms of like fitness, probably, because you're playing like Thursday, Sunday. Like it wouldn't. It's out of comfort zone, so it could play a massive tail, but it could also thrive us on like sharpness, because obviously we're playing all the time, so we're always like ready for it. But it could honestly go either way. But that's if we get to the league phase, which in a realistic sense, I'm not too sure about it, but can always hope.
To be fair, with the draws you can potentially get, obviously we'll be unseeded in the playoff. It still looks like they've got a chance, and that's the most thing. But we'll go back to you, Dan, about the second leg. Obviously, Hibs are 2-0 down. There still is a glimmer of hope. I'm not going to say if he changes it, because we all know he won't, and maybe it's just going to change the team selection. What players do you think they need to get brought in to change this tie around?
I think, well, you definitely have to change the defence. Yeah, you definitely have to drop Hanley after that performance. So bring Jason Kerr in. Outside of that, I think the midfield is strong. I mean, Jamie McGrath, he was missing last night. I don't know what was up with that. Like, he's somebody who would have took the game by the scruff of the neck. Instead, like, you've got somebody like Joe Newell coming on, which probably didn't change the game much. Also, going back to the game last night, like, I just thought, like, even going into the last 10 minutes, there maybe was that bit of disrespect or fear for Hibs of getting beat, that we pushed forward even more, and then we got caught in the counter-attack, and it just seemed very, very amateur to actually no manage the game at that point to say, actually, exactly what Kyle said, a 1-0 going back to Easter Road, I would have been massively confident. We need a 3-0 win. So that's a schoolboy error. Probably down to the quality of the opposition, thinking, we'll get an equaliser here. We can't leave here with a defeat. On the face of it, by the way, if we get a 3-0 or 3-goal win, I think we've got, draw-wise, and I'm not talking about team-wise, draw-wise, we have got probably the best chance we've had. If you take the games that we had last season at this stage, we had Michelin, Partizan, then who was it after Partizan? Legia Warsaw. You take the 3 teams compared to a team for Kosovo, then this, what's it, Bravo or some other team, then you're going to be seeded. You're going to be seeded in the playoff. So because that you're obviously playing a seeded team here, but that's how I understand it anyway. You're thinking right now at this very moment, Hibs have got a better chance of playing European football than Hearts because of the way the Hearts qualifications go. Have we? I don't know much about these teams that would play in the next round. We've all heard of obviously Helsinki for Motherwell. So on the face of it, you're going, right, they've got a bit of European history. Have we got a better chance there? But we've left ourselves in this horrendous situation. That, as well as that, imagine we get a 2-0 win on Thursday. Imagine it goes to extra time and we're going into the first game of the season. Like that is a horrendous situation that happened to us last season when we gave it a right good go on all the games that went to extra time. We had a pretty poor start. We were losing goals at the end of the game. We spoke about it the last show, and we're right back to the start. And I mean, we're probably, again, go back to the signings, we're probably building something that's like more like a squad that could probably handle the Thursday, Sunday. Where Kyle, like, it'd be amazing if you guys got there, but you have got a really strong first team. Have you got a squad that can cope with it? Again, so it's very, very, very frustrating that it's the easiest chance we've had in all the years I can remember, and we do that last night.
Well, side note, I want to speak about Joe Newell because I should be a professional, but he's a dick, right? No, story for everyone. It was my cousin's girlfriend's 30th last year, and every time I bought a drink, he criticised it, and I think he's actually there the night, and that's why I've not gone. But, every time. He actually bought one for me as well.
When he was injured, he gave abuse to Hearts, so like he's went up in the estimation of every Hibs fan when he used some language towards Hearts fans. So that's all we needed.
No, well. To be fair, he is pally with a lot of Hearts fans, which is a wee bit, But I will go into the second leg of the final off and just recap it. We'll be doing your score predictions, Kev. We will go for your score prediction in the second leg in the Faroe Islands.
Well, I'm going to go optimistic. I hope I don't absolutely jinx myself. I'll say we'll take a 1-0 lead away from home just to completely soften the tie and get us through.
Now, Darren, I'll ask you, and I'm going to give you a word of advice, not because a lot of people have said the scoreline 2-0 and then lost, so maybe do not go 2-0 and just do something different. Well,
you see, what I was actually going to do is stick with my original decision of saying 2-0 Hibs. It'll go to extra time and they'll get a goal. We'll go out. That is now my prediction.
To be fair, I actually predicted Celtic losing to Kyrie in penalties, and everyone laughed at me, and that's what actually happened. But lads, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone watching this, if you haven't made it this far into this video, hit that like button and subscribe. Very much appreciated. I'll see you in the next one.